Hello there and welcome to the job training video for the Press Release Submitter. This is going to be a job overview and a step-by-step walkthrough training of all job tasks that are going to be required of you. Welcome to the team. Your employer is looking forward to a long-term, mutually profitable business relationship. So once again, congratulations and welcome. Now inside this training, you're going to be given a big picture overview of exactly what your job will involve. Then we will go into specific detail on each one of your work tasks so you gain a complete 100% understanding of everything you're going to need to do. Important point here, you are now in the training phase. Your employer wants and expects you to ask him or her any questions you have for further clarification if you're ever unsure about something, so relax. And finally, the first 1 to 2 times that you apply your work tasks will be considered practice runs. So take as much time as you need to study this training. The bottom line is we want you to be comfortable. So real quick, let's go over the job tasks overview of what you're going to have to be doing each day as the press release submitter. Well, in a nutshell, your job is going to consist of writing and submitting one 600 plus, basically 600 word genuinely helpful press release per day using your employer's PressReleaseSubmitterJobTraining account. You will be provided with a keyword list of 10 to 20 target keywords that your employer will want the press releases written around, okay? Now, in other words, you can think about these keywords being the keywords that each press release is going to need to be SEO optimized around. If you know anything about SEO optimizing blog posts or articles, and most likely you do because that's one of the qualifications that we had when you in the job qualifications, you know that it's important to put the target keyword that you want to rank high on Google at least several times within whatever you're doing, whether it's an article or a press release or whatever, in the headline, etc. So enough on that right now. Now each of these keywords on your employer's target keyword list, and again there's going to be 10 or 20 of them, will have a corresponding blog post on your employer's blog that he or she will have already written and will already be posted up. And the thing about this is you're going to be linking each press release that you end up submitting inside your employer's PressReleaseSubmitterJobTraining account to the corresponding blog post. So let's say that one of the target keywords for you to be writing press releases around would be potty train puppy. Okay, let's assume we were in the dog training niche market area and the target keyword was potty train puppy. Well, you would write a press release that would have the target keyword for that press release would be potty train puppy, and you'd want to make sure that you include that keyword in the headline of the press release, several times in the body, and even in the hyperlink at the end of the press release where you're able to link out to, which brings me to my next point. Your employer will have already had a blog post on his blog that was also about potty train puppy, okay? So all these 10 or 20 target keywords, they will already have a corresponding blog post already written and put up on your employer's blog, and you're going to simply be linking off at the end of your press releases to whatever the relevant blog post is. So if you were writing a press release about potty train puppy, then the blog post that you'd be linking off to, or in the call to action at the end of the press release for that press release, would be the blog post on your employer's blog that's all about potty training the puppy. Again, you will be given all these links by your employer prior to you getting started. An important point here is there will be a period before you start your job where your employer will be getting you up to speed and knowledgeable on the niche or topic area that you will be submitting press releases within. And in case you don't know what niche is, a niche is just a topic area, okay? Like dog training, making money online, fly fishing. Those are examples of niches or niches, just in case you didn't know what that word meant, okay? Now, your employer will be giving you, to get you up to speed, because you need to obviously be at least somewhat knowledgeable about the general topic area that you're going to be writing press releases around before you get started. So your employer will be giving you 2 to 3 books, maybe a course, a video, a combination for you to study that will provide a baseline of knowledge on the niche or general topic area from which you're going to be writing your press releases, okay? And then after you have a solid base of understanding in your niche topic area from studying those 2 to 3 courses or videos, whatever they give you, your employer will be also giving you the list of his or her 10 to 20 target keywords. Remember we talked about these earlier? That he or she will want you to basically write the press releases around and make sure that you SEO optimize, and which means put those target keywords several times in those press releases, okay? Obviously, in the heading and the body, the hyperlink. So you will then take the time to research and study each of those 10 to 20 target keywords or topics so that you can easily provide and write a useful, relevant press release around each one, of course, because that's what you're going to be writing the press releases around. Now, once you have completed the above and gained sufficient knowledge about your employer's niche topic area, along with the target keywords, you will be asked to submit 2 to 3 practice press releases inside your employer's PRlog.com account, linking, of course, each one of them linking to their corresponding blog posts on your employer's blog. And of course, you're going to be given a list of web addresses or URLs to each of those blog posts that correspond to each of the target keywords. Okay, so you're never going to have to worry about where to link what press release to. Okay. Finally, if your practice press releases are written the way this training will soon show you how to write them, you will officially be hired, and your job will entail writing and submitting one of these press releases per day, unless otherwise instructed to do a different amount by your employer. Okay? So now that we've gone through the big picture overview of exactly what your job will entail, I'm now going to go through a step-by-step live walkthrough of exactly what a job of yours will look like from start to finish. And you'll see me do every step that you're soon going to be doing. So make sure to pay close attention, because I'm going to be showing you exactly what you're going to be doing each day for your job. Okay, so now we're going to transition on over to a walkthrough example. Be right back with you. Alright, well, welcome to your actual live walkthrough example training of exactly what you're going to be doing each day as a press release submitter. Okay, so remember, your employer will have already had an account at this website called PRlog.com. That's PRlog.com. He will already have an account here, and you will simply be able to log in using his or her login information and simply start submitting your press releases. Okay, and remember that you would have already gotten up to speed on the general niche or topic area that your employer is working within, and you would have also received and started studying those 10 to 20 keywords, okay, that you're going to be creating the press releases around, okay, that you're going to be writing the press release articles around, from which your employer wants you to optimize with those keywords. So once you're at this stage, and this might be your practice run or this might be the actual job, you will just go ahead and log into your employer's account, and you will be taking whatever the keyword that he wants to optimize this press release around. Remember, it is remember, we're looking for SEO optimization too, okay? We want Google to rank us highly. So for this example, I'm actually going to be writing a press release about myself. And the topic area of this press release is going to be the Google Penguin update, okay? And so the main keyword that I want you to be aware of is that I'm going to be going for here is Google Penguin survival, okay? It's a 3-word phrase, so it's going to be relatively easy to rank. That's the main keyword, and that I'm going to be making sure is within this article, okay, this press release. The other thing to keep in mind is you always write press releases using the third person modality, okay? So the title for this one is, and you always want to kind of make these, as curiosity invoking and kind of shocking or interesting. The title, just like a news story, is going to be SEO veteran accidentally stumbles upon Google Penguin, there's my keyword, right? Survival survival secret. Okay, so there's my keyword. Remember, this would just be one of the keywords that your employer would have provided you in that list. That obviously you would need to know enough about the niche area and the topic area to write about it, right? But as you can see, this is written. I'm writing about myself, and I'm writing in the third person. It's like a news story, right? SEO veteran accidentally stumbles upon Google Penguin survival secret. And that would be good enough for there. This is the account that your employer would have. This is just my account, but he would have already had to have his account and stuff. And obviously, before you get to this page, once you log in, you would have to click a button that says submit a press release, obviously, right? Once you're logged in. But they'll take you here, you put your headline in, and distribution, for now we're just going to select free, because that's most likely what your employer is going to be doing. And then you need to enter a CAPTCHA. Okay. Hit next. Oops, that was obviously the wrong CAPTCHA. Let's try it again. Alright, here we go. We're obviously not including a logo because we have a free account. The headline's there. And the summary, you just expand a little bit. Okay? After 7 years trying to game Google into quick and easy rankings, actually I'm going to change that. After flat out giving up on Google as a reliable long-term traffic source, 7-year SEO veteran finally accidentally stumbles upon the true Google Penguin, again the keyword, remember, Google Penguin survival, Google Penguin survival secret. Okay, that's enough. Oh, I guess you could maybe like and you know what, I probably want to put a word like discover. Never mind, that's fine, that's good enough. And now I'm going to pause this while I write the press release body, okay? Give me 1 sec here. And you'll notice that I write it in the third person newsy, news story kind of way, okay? Okay, and here's how you start writing the press release. You always want to start out with the actual date, okay? So the way it's done in this in the press release industry is you open the bracket or whatever you want to call that, the parenthesis, and you just put today's date, okay? So today happens to be August 18th. Oops, you don't do it like that. You do August, whatever the days or whatever, and then you just do a space, and you do the date, which is 2012 right now. Okay, and then what you do is you put the city, and you could pretty much make up any major city. Okay, but let's just do New York. And then what you always do after that, it's pretty standard formatting, is you do a space and then you just do a dash. Okay? Then what you do next is you basically just write a simple statement that, again, it just re-encapsulates the basic premise. Okay? And you could actually just copy the headline and You could simply do, let's take a look at this. I'm much dismayed. Long-time SEO. Never mind. Let's just rewrite this. A frustrated SEO veteran, ready to throw in the towel after 7 years, finally stumbles upon the true, and you could even mix up the keywords a little bit, the true secret to Google, well, not really, Google Penguin survival. Okay, now comes a very important next little area. Okay, this is where you want to write up a quote as if the main guy behind this thing, the main person that the press release is about, actually said the quote. Okay, and here's how. Just a little background on this one. The whole Google Penguin survival secret, i.e., how to get sites ranked at the top of Google long term. It's basically about just putting good content up consistently and stop trying to do unnatural things that game Google, that kind of trick Google into ranking your site at the top. Okay, so no more unnatural link building, no more keyword stuffing, and no more like stuff like that. Okay, so let's just see how I do this here. The funny part is long-term traffic and success from Google comes almost effortlessly when you finally stop trying to game the system. So that's the quote that the person behind the press release would write, and you'd obviously write that. And you actually want to put a comma here. And now you insert the person's name, whatever the name the employer wants you to use. And for my case, I'll just use my own name. Corey Friedman tells us over at, and here's where you insert your employer's domain name. Okay, the main domain. Here's the thing: your employer is going to have a blog. Okay, if he's using this strategy, he's going to have a blog where there's content at the blog already. Okay, and in fact, there is your employer will actually need to have a bigger article or blog post on the blog about this very kind of topic. Okay, so whatever your employer's domain name. Okay, so I'm just going to put employers over at employersdomainname.com. And after you put that .com, you put a comma, and then you do a big picture sentence about what the site's about. You could say a site based around, or whatever, a site, whatever your employer's site is. So that is an important point, that your employer will have a blog, okay, and you'll be constantly referencing that blog. A site providing cutting-edge SEO advice to the SEO industry. Okay. To say it again, it starts off with the date. Okay, you already know what the keyword that your employer. You already know what keywords to target, and then you're going to choose one keyword from your employer's list. Okay. For this one, the keyword we were targeting was Google Penguin Survival. Okay. And so then you start with the date, then whatever the major city, and dash dash, you do a quick recapping sentence, and then you do a quote from your employer. Okay, and you could write this on his behalf, and this is the structure. After the quote, you put whatever the person's name tells us over at your employer's domain name for his or her blog, comma, a site providing whatever it provides. Okay. Here's the next part that you want to do. Okay, you're going to be putting another quote, and this is a perfect template. Okay, you can use this every time out. But the next part is he or she, I'm going to use he here, he goes on to say, comma, quote. Okay? And this is just another thing, and you're going to have to, make this up or write, but based on your own knowledge of the niche, because remember you got up to speed with the niche, right? So let me pause this while I write this part. Okay, well, let me read you how I did that here. I then wrote, he goes on to say, and then here's the next quote, okay? From, basically you're writing this on behalf of your employer, because he's really the voice of the blog, okay, the eventual blog and the expert. So he goes on to say, thousands of stressed out SEO professionals around the world are finally being forced to realize what they've probably already known but didn't want to admit. End parentheses, that putting up consistent, high-value content that your audience will naturally love and share via social media is the only consistent path to long-term Google success. Okay? So after that second sort of quoting, what you want to do is you want to put a call to action. And here's the thing. Your employer is going to give you a set of URLs that go to specific blog posts on his blog, okay? He might have one that's about the Google Penguin or something, right? Or let's say the whole niche was dog training, okay? He might have one about potty training your puppy, okay? He might have one about getting your dog to stop barking. He might have one about making the dog come to the owner on command. So you're going to have a set of maybe 10 or so, something like that, URLs to specific blog posts, and whichever keyword is related to any blog post, that's the link that you're going to be putting on that in the call to action. Okay, so let's say that your employer had a blog post on his blog, okay, that was all about five ultra critical post penguin survival secrets, okay, and that was the blog post. So he already had that up and live. So the reason you're writing this press release is to get traffic to come back to that blog and to learn more about this Google Penguin area, okay? And then so you could simply put a call to action here that says, to discover the 5 post Penguin. You're right, I want to be using my keyword, right? So remember the keyword again was Google Penguin survival, okay? So to discover the 5, and we're assuming now, right, that your employer has a blog post on his blog titled something like the 5 Google Penguin survival secrets, okay? And obviously you would know what are the target keywords that your employer is targeting, along with what are the corresponding blog posts on his or her blog that are catering to each of those keywords, okay? And the URLs of them, okay? So to discover the 5 Google Penguin survival secrets that, the name of your employer that Corey Freeman lives by, or wherever your employer is. And the way you got to do the URL is you need to simply put the word visit, and this is how it works with the free version of prlog.org, because your employer most likely will have the free version, and this is the only way it lets you do it. You need to put visit and then the actual URL, okay, to his blog posts, okay? We're assuming again that your employer would have a blog post called something like the 5 Google Penguin survival secrets, okay, that you must live by. But you put visit, then the whole URL, http://www, or you don't need the www, but the exact URL of that blog post, okay? So generally speaking, it's going to be a little bit longer than that for details. And that's simply how you sign off. And what this will do is it'll make this a link that the people will be able to click and go directly on over to your employer's blog. Okay? Source company, you can simply put the name of this is the name of the company that your employer will be giving you to use. Okay, so a couple of things I want to reiterate here. The first thing you need to know is your employer will already have a blog set up, okay, with 10 to 20 blog posts that are lined up with the keywords. Remember those 10 to 20 keywords that he told you you were going to be writing and optimizing these press releases around, okay? So what you're going to do each day or every other day or so, whatever your employer's work schedule is that he or she wants you to do, is you're going to take one of the keywords from the list of keywords that your employer is targeting, okay? You are going to grab the URL, okay, the web address on his or her blog that corresponds to that keyword. Okay, it's basically the blog post that is a long article about that keyword. Okay, and then you're going to head on over here, log into your employer's account, and you're simply going to do everything I just showed you. Okay, and at the end you're going to make the link go to that blog post that's all about that keyword. Okay, and again, your employer might make you want to do one of these every day. He or she might only make you do one every 2 or 3 days. That's going to be up to your employer. Okay. And I'm not going to actually fill out these business contact details because that's going to be up to your employer, and it's going to be different for you. Obviously, he or she's going to tell you what he wants to put in here, what he or she wants. Okay. For the distribution thing, obviously we're using the free, so we're not dealing with any of that. The release date and time we're going to put as soon as possible. Press room, this is already created by your employer. There will already be a press room in here, okay? So you don't need to touch that. The industries, you want to just make it as accurate and relevant as possible. This one is obviously give me one sec here. Internet could work. I'm looking for a more okay, internet would be fine. But whatever makes sense for you. You could probably put an optional thing in here. For me, this is really search engine optimization, but that's kind of optional. I would recommend trying to put a keyword in there. And tags, again, you want to find, what you want to do here is you want to pick one broad one, and I believe these are separated by commas, right? You want to put one broad one, okay? Or the highest level one. The highest level one here is, again, we'll actually put SEO. Then we'll do a comma, okay? Another tag here is, I'm actually going to put search engine optimization, because that's really the main, that's what it's called. And then I'm going to put something even more specific here, because the real specific thing about this is the Google Penguin, right? And we might as well put our keyword in there, right? So we're going to put Google Penguin. Remember the keyword? Survival. That was the keyword. Google Penguin, with the G, obviously. Survival, okay? So that's how you do the one broad category. And again, your employer can easily tell you if you have any questions about this, okay? But generally, these tags, these first two tags, okay, are going to stay the same. The third one is the specific keyword, okay, that you're writing the press release about. In this case, it was Google Penguin Survival, okay? Free extra exposure, and you might as well choose this too. Free listing on prlog.com. You know what? You don't even, let me see here. Okay, you don't even need to do that. Just put not interested or don't meet requirements, okay? Because it doesn't really apply. And all you do then is you go to the final step, and the rest from there is self-explanatory, okay? So that's all you need to know. That's an exact walkthrough of how to do your daily job. Remember, your employer has a bunch of this set up already. He has this blog, his or her blog set up. He has his, the 10 to 20 blog posts that correspond to the 10 or 20 target keywords that you're going to be writing daily or maybe a couple times a week press releases around. Okay, so that's it for the walkthrough training. If you have any questions whatsoever, your employer wants and encourages you to reach out to him or her and ask any questions to get any extra help you need. And remember, now what you need to do is do those 2 or 3 practice runs, okay? You need to do those 2 or 3 practice runs. So look at the list of keywords that your employer has told you to target, okay? Pick 2 or 3 of them and make sure you know the URLs on your employer's blog to the blog posts that correspond to each of those keywords, and go ahead and crank out those 2 to 3 practice press releases, okay? And all you need to do really is write this main article here. No, actually, never mind. What you want to do, go ahead and submit them both in your employer's account over at prlog.com, and then let your employer know when you've done that. Okay, so your employer can log in and take a look at, for him or herself, exactly how you've done those. Okay, and go ahead and do that. Let your employer know that you've done that, and your employer will be in contact with you shortly. Take care.